far as our worship. Oh, hold on one second. I'll be right back. Got something weird going on. Not getting power for some reason. Trying to make sure that everything's charging while we're going. But it is what it is. Not sure why we're not getting power. Interesting. Oh, I bet. I don't know. All right, I bet somebody unplugged. Been traveling with a bunch of people. I guess you got to make sure you explain certain things or whatever. But you know what? We'll leave it as is. We should have enough. We only be on for about an hour, hour and a half. I should have enough on all these different devices to be able to make it. Prayerfully, the Wi-Fi will make it. That's the main one I'm worried about. So if you're on YouTube or those who will be on the podcast, hopefully that'll last through. But it is what it is. Thank you, everybody, for being on once again, though. We're going to talk about judging today. And is it all right to judge? Because we keep hearing things about should we judge this and that or whatever. Only God can judge me, And so in these frequently asked questions, is it all right to judge? Can we judge something? Can we judge someone? Have you ever judged someone? And is that okay? Right? Have you judged somebody? And should you feel bad about judging somebody? Because we make people feel bad about judging, because once again, only this Germanic deity who is not the same as Elohim apparently has the right to be able to judge, because only God can judge people. That's what we hear. That's what we think. Sometimes that's what we believe, but it's not necessarily so. Right? So we want to talk about that today. Can anybody accept God, who is not even the same as Elohim, but can anybody judge you? Right? And can we use his type of judgment to judge not just things according to the Bible, but anything that we come across, which becomes the next question. Right? But before we get into it, may the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our Redeemer, and it is in his name, which is his authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect his message. Amen. So we talk about, can we judge? Is it okay to judge? Is it all right to judge? And if you're joining us for the first time, this is Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant of Christ. We are always changing lives one mind at a time by being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. And we do this every rising, except for Wednesdays. Wednesdays is my day off, but we do this every rising at 8 a.m. Eastern New York time. And we do this throughout the weekdays at 8 p.m. Eastern New York time. So all those times that I said, they count, except for Wednesday. Once again, Wednesday is my day off. And we are excited and thankful and grateful for you guys being on with us today. So, and I'm sorry also, too, please make sure that you check out my wife, the Honorable Maya. You can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, or website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish, not A&D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. To Marsha, Malcolm, Betty, Isabella, and Solomon, Daddy loves you very much. To Lottie Dottie and everybody joining us, the ministerial staff, the people who are part of SOC, the people who are part of our diaspora, the people who are human beings, who treat each other as human beings, those who agree with us, disagree with us. If it's your first time with us, if your first time, or if this is one time of many, we appreciate your presence. We honor your presence here today. We're thankful and grateful for you coming and chilling out and hanging out with us one more again. How is everybody doing? Hello, Sister Dawn. Hello, Cynthia. Hello, Minister Sonia, Big Brother Thomas, Sister Kimberly, Brother Jacob. I'm trying to catch these names. Sister Barbara, Sister Betty, Temperamental. Okay, thanks for being part of the community. How you doing, Sister Beverly? Right. Ms. Mack, how you doing? Sister Deja, Ms. Mack, we were so close but so far away. When our family was traveling, we tried prayerfully, y'all will open something up Maria, how you doing? Alrighty. So we thank you guys. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to leave them in the Q&A. If you want to put something in the chat, feel free to do so. I may or may not be able to get to you right away, but definitely feel free to put those things, those items in the chat. And we're thankful and grateful for you. If I don't get to them once again right away, or if you see that I'm going somewhere else and I might not be able to get to what you're saying right away, just put it in the Q&A box and we will get back to it ASAP. And thanks for being on again. How you doing, Ransom? And today, once again, we're going to be talking about in part 22 of this FAQ series, frequently asked questions about what it is coming from our cultural perspective. The question that says, "Can we judge?" Everybody got the quick thing. Only God can judge me. Only God can judge me. I cannot tell you how many times in life I've heard that. I probably said it, to try and get somebody off me. But only God can judge me, right? And then we have to ask, well, what is God? Who is God? Which comes to a point to where we are if we're dealing with that and who is God, we have a problem because God is not who you think he or she is, right? How you doing, Iron? Gosh, Iron, I am I need to get you your stuff. I was on the road yesterday. Hopefully we'll be able to make it happen today. I probably can actually make it happen today. Got your information. I'm going to be going over to visit my father. Once we finish traveling on the road there, I'll probably see if I can sneak over while we're there and do it real quick and then come back over to finish seeing him throughout the rest of this evening. But um, yeah, I know, but I don't like breaking promises, so we're going to make sure it happens. It's not of our culture. Hello, Chill Pill. I tried to reach out to you, but I guess it was via email. I'm trying to see if I can text you again. I was trying to set up a time we could talk. Hopefully things are going well. I saw the message that you sent. I don't remember if I responded. Well, I did respond, I believe so. But I'll try to reach out to you again. But thank you, everybody. We appreciate you. Thanks for all the work and everything that you're doing. Thanks for those who went out and blessed people in your community. I was actually talking to somebody doing a one-on-one, and in the middle of doing the one-on-one, they were actually out there blessing a family of something that they were in need of. So we're thankful and grateful for you guys being awesome and helping out people and not just saying this stuff, but living this stuff. We really do appreciate you and your example. Um, okay, I'll try to check you. Or well, okay, I'll try to text you on Tuesday. I'll put it on my calendar to reach out to you on Tuesday. How you doing, Shelt? But yeah, up you're at dialysis. All right. Well, hopefully things go better for you. And praying for you, and possibly even my wife, she does stuff with natural medicine and things. So we definitely work on that. But I'll try to see if I can take a screenshot so we can see if you don't mind. It's up to you. You let me know if it's okay. Cash, but we'll see if we can possibly, look at adding you to the prayer list if you're okay with that. Most def. And if you want to talk things through or whatever, feel free. If you're on TikTok, all you got to do is go to our main page, and get in touch with us through there. Click on where it says website, link tree. You can definitely reach out for sure. Just give us, if you reach out to us or whatever, let us know, because we got tons of stuff going on all the time. But yeah, so we're thankful, we're grateful. Even if it's not me that can reach out, maybe somebody else can reach out just to check on you, and we can make sure that we're aware of the situation. Who knows, wherever you're located in the country, might have somebody close enough to you to be able to come and see about you, because that's what we're really about, is being family and being united. All right. All those things being said, though, once again, today we're going to talk about judging, right? um, judging. And this is, can we judge? Everybody talks about only God can judge me. Once again, who is God? We got to ask that first. And if you realize that God is a Germanic deity, God is more close to deities, deists, more close to things of that nature, more close to a mix in between Eastern and Romantic and Babylonian. And yes, even though I'm part Kemetic and people misrepresent what Kemetic is, they will use, even though it's a misrepresentation of Kemetic culture, they will use Kemetic culture to be able to do that. So they have a mix of so many different things that there's no standard. So first of all, we have to see if we're talking about alaham, or if we're talking about something you can make whatever you want. Why is that so important? Why do we keep talking about culture all the time? Why do we press that upon people? The reason is because um, if we're going to judge people, if we're going to do anything, we have to have a standard. If you're going to say something is virtuous or someone is virtuous, what is the standard of virtue? What does virtus even mean? Do you comprehend what the Latin term is and where it comes from and why they put it into places of whatever canon that you desire to uphold with great value? Do you comprehend why they use that term? If we're going to talk about a diamond, what is a real diamond? What is a fake diamond? Do you know that real diamonds and fake diamonds sell for the same thing? Do you know that diamonds are not as expensive or should not be as expensive as what they make them out to be? But because people went and stole them from certain places in the world and locked them all up, you have to get all of what you think are diamonds to them, even though if you had the ability to and you were willing to, kind of nuke a couple microwaves here or there, you could probably make a diamond for yourself. Right. But a lot of people don't know that because we don't comprehend the value of something. What is the standard? Right. When we say, when you get a car or whatever, what is a standard issue car? What makes a car a standard issue, right? Do you want standard issue? A lot of people say, no, I want something that's more than standard. But even what you want that's more than standard has to be based off of a standard, right? If you get a luxury vehicle, it has to be based off of what? A standard. There has to be something that's standard so we can say it's luxury. Right? And if you buy something, even if it's considered to be low value, you don't want to buy lower than standard. Standard is the lowest you want to buy, right? Thanks for being a part of the community. C Drain, appreciate you. Or CD Rain, I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. But we want to be part of a standard. Standard is there, standard issue, this and that, or whatever. And so if we're talking about judging, the problem is that people are conflating. Our problem is people are really, if I can say, gaslighting, and we're taking an interpretation of something and trying to cause construction, or we just outright don't even know how to interpret what we're talking about, and we're misusing the interpretation or misinterpreting. Thank you, Professor. Thank you for being on. Appreciate you. So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is this, is that there's only one interpretation, but there can be many applications. Right? There's only one interpretation. If you look up interpretation in law dictionaries, if you look up interpretation in Black's Law Dictionary, if you look up the definition of interpretation at Webster, Merriam-Webster, interpretation is talking about there's one interpretation. It's based off of somebody's culture, it's based off of their language, it's based off of their mentality, it's based off of where they were at the time, even in location wise. It's based off of a great deal of many different things, right? And so if we're going to talk about and deal with standard, we have to first figure out what the standard is. Or if we're going to talk about judging somebody, what is the standard? Hello, shalom, Shabbat shalom to everybody, Shabbat shalom, some salam, Shabbat salam to some. Thank you for being on, everybody, on all platforms, TikTok, YouTube, the podcast. We appreciate you, right? But there has to be what? A standard. What are you being governed by, right? What are you being governed by, right? What are you being governed by? How do you judge something without having a standard? Before somebody says, only God can judge me, right? Well, question, who is your God, right? I'm sorry, you said people always misinterpret to belong to a group, learn to think for yourself first. Sure, yeah. That's why anything we talk about, you should be able to make sure that you can study it for yourself. Yeah. So, that's a standard that you should have for anything. Because anything that you're doing is influenced by anybody. So before you allow people to influence, you should first make sure that whatever is being influential, it comes through a standard, a prism. You said judge not, like, come on now. Judge not according to what? See, once again, what's the standard? See, people come on, once again, judge not, judge not, judge not what? What is the standard? So, for example, see, and people will think, oh, I'm going, but I love to break things down to, let's stop making even the spiritual, or whatever you want to call your energy, spirit, your belief system, your scientific beliefs, whatever, right? Let's stop making those things so mystical that they're no longer practical. Correct? Like, let's make this stuff practical. So if you go to a restaurant, right, righteous judgment, yeah, we can talk about that. And righteous basically breaks down the right legal standing. But when we talk about a standard, and we have to comprehend, a lot of people are going to try to manipulate or gaslight or go different ways with this because they won't want to talk about a standard. Let's make this standard. Let's get this in a place to where this is pretty easy to be able to comprehend and to understand, right? Let's make this something that's pretty easy for us to be able to get into, right? Let's make this something to where it's not something difficult for us to have to deal with. If I go to a restaurant, right, and I say, "Hey, I would like a steak," and they say, "How would you like your steak to be cooked?" And I say, "Well done," right? Right? See, once again, even with that question, why are we getting destroyed in groups, but judged for wanting to be individualistic? You have a right to do whatever you want. So hear me out. You know, if you're part of a group that's saying you can't be your genuine self, then I don't want to be a part of that group either, right? But let's just say if you go to a restaurant and you say I want a steak, I would go to a restaurant because I don't eat blood or of any kind, right? So I would say like give me a steak well done. Not judging anybody, just saying I don't personally, right? So give me a steak. I'd like it to be well done. If they come back and it's pink, that might be their standard, but usually what the standard is really supposed to be well done is well done. Matter of fact, if we be honest, this is actually something that happens from people, white, black, whatever social construct you want to use, that where they worked in the restaurant industry have told me is that they actually, when a person who is a black woman will walk in a restaurant considered by the social construct black woman walks in a restaurant, if she asks for well done, they're immediate, or no, I'm sorry, if she asks for steak, they immediately think that she wants it well done. That's actually the way that works across the board. There's an unwritten rule across the West that if a black woman comes in a restaurant and says, "I would like a steak," that she wants it well done, or if she says well done, she wants it like they'll almost burn it, right? I'm just telling you what I've learned from other people. I've worked and I've managed restaurants before as well, but I'm telling you like that's a standard, whether you know it or not. Okay, right? There's a standard there, right? So even some people change standards. Now watch this. What if you get a woman who's by the social construct, a black woman who comes in, but that she wants you to give her what the industry says is standard well done, right? Standards matter. And what happens is a lot of people have different standards, right? So a lot of people judge things according to different things. But let me go back to me personally, right? Hopefully you guys are kind of seeing how we're going to lay this out. If it doesn't make sense yet, just hang in there for a minute, right? But watch this. So if I personally want a well done steak and you give me something that's pink in the middle, or obviously if there's any blood dripping around it, I'm going to say no, I don't want this, right? I want it to be well done, right? I want it to be well done. I have a right to judge that steak as not well done according to the standard that I have. Okay, right? I have a judge. I have the ability to make a judgment call. How you doing, brother Clem? I have the ability to make a judgment call, what we would call a judgment call, based off of what it is that I'm looking for, right? But there's a standard that I come into that restaurant with. There's a standard. If the standard is not met, then I can judge it as it not being up to the standard, right? Well, you can be of which you desire, sure, but once again, whatever you're desiring is based upon a standard. Like for example, somebody's talking about an individual. What is the is there really a such thing, right? I'm not talking about how we change definitions, because remember we change definitions every 25 years. This is why we wrestle not against flesh and blood but against principalities. Those are things of kingdom origin. If you actually look up a principality is a monarch, right? Or principality is an origin. So we wrestle not against flesh and blood against each other, but we're wrestling against things that are of origin, especially origin in the kingdom. That's what we're fighting against, right? Because there's no standard, there's no original. That's a standard is based upon an original. A standard is based upon an origin. Like it is what it is. A standard is based upon an original, it's based upon an origin. And a lot of people are not aware of what the origin or the standard is. Well, once again, you say there are so many. That's why we say, can we go back to the original? For example, you can say there are many different cultures, but do you know that there's only one standard, right? There's only one standard when it comes to marriage in everybody's ancient culture. Before marriage had to be done via these contracts, because by the way, you can write your own contract for marriage. That's actually original. You don't have to go through the state. but we don't know the standard. So we judge marriage by what somebody tells us. And now everybody's running around talking about never get married because married is this bad thing. Well, you can write your own contract. By the way, marriage is just sex and sex is marriage. So much to the point to where if you were to go and get married 3 months later, y'all ain't had no sex yet. You go to the judge, you say, hey, they ain't having sex with me. The judge says, is that true? The person says, yes, we're not having sex. Judge says, marriage annulled, right? Because there's a standard, but we don't know the standard. So in essence, you're married all these times when you're having all these partners. But when we're talking about an individual, a lot of people don't even recognize that technically, right? If you're talking about an individual, there is no individual without a society, and there is no society without an individual. In order for me to even say that I'm an individual, I must first be able to say that there's a standard the community has. And for me to say I'm outside of that standard, that's what makes me an individual. You hear what I'm saying? Yeah, and he knew her, right? To know somebody, to be intimate with them. Great rising to you, Dennis. How you doing? Right? And please, everybody, check your emails and stuff throughout the day. I've been trying to make sure that I got as many emails and as many invites out to everybody for the upcoming our holy day Shabbat Pentecost tomorrow, right? So let us know for that, please. I just realized a couple names on there that some of your names for whatever reason don't pop up. I have to like remember your names to make sure I type them in. So I will make sure I do that. But please, ma'am, please, sir, check out your stuff. Let us know if you got the stuff through the Google Calendar invite. We should have everything there. But so once again, if you're talking about an individual and a society, you cannot talk about the individual. Getting back on track, you cannot talk about the individual without first knowing what the society is, and you cannot talk about the society without knowing what the individuals are that make up the society. Right? You cannot know who the individual is if you cannot first ensure that you know about the individual. So you can't know about the individual without the society that makes the individual. You cannot know about the society without knowing the individuals that make up the society. Right? You cannot. I know we want to, but you cannot. I know we claim to, but you cannot. It is not possible. I know people don't want to hear that, but it's not possible. There is nobody that that lives in a vacuum. Right? There's not one person in here who lives in a vacuum. There's not one person, I'm going to say that again. There's not one person in here who was born without ever having human contact. There's not one person in here, right? Unless, maybe you don't know how to read or something, but I'm going to give us the benefit of the doubt that most of us on here, we know how to read, we know how to write, we know at least one language, right? We've had jobs, different things like that. Some of us been in the military. Some of us have worked minimum wage. Some of us have worked extremely high-ranking jobs. Some of us are high-ranking officials. Some of us are doctors by degree. Some of us are doctors and lawyers in here that come on regularly through. Right? We all have things that have shaped what we think. Right? We all have things that have shaped what we think. Right? We do. There's not one person in here who can claim that they have not had something that they've gone through or looked at and has not shaped what they think. When you were in the womb, you already heard language. When you were in the womb, you know that your mother, when she got angry, you had 5 senses that experienced anger. If your mother got angry, you tasted anger, you saw anger, you felt anger, you smelled anger, right? And you tasted anger. Even from the environment of the womb, you were being shaped by another person, by society, and that person, that individual you were inside of, was being shaped by individuals in a society, and that society was shaping those individuals, ultimately shaping you. So we have to have some kind of standard. The problem is that we have so many people who are only focused on the individual and not the society, and it's dangerous for 2 reasons. Number one, it's causing us to not try to help society. Number two, it's well, I said 2, maybe a few. It's number one, it's helping us not to try and shape society at all, because all you care about is being for yourself. How you doing, Sister Rhonda? Hey, man, I'm just trying to get out. I'm trying to get out the hood, take care of myself. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm rich. I'm just working for myself. I ain't really worried about nothing else. Look, man, all these homeless cats out there, man, they always begging and doing this or whatever, man, whatever. They got to get themselves together. I'm not there. I'm not there. I used to talk like that too until I ended up being in a situation where it was me and my children out there and I'm trying to figure out how I was going to make it. You know, thank you for being on, Mr. Loon. So, you know, we don't recognize like that we are messing things up because we don't focus on both things going together, right? Judge, I'm gonna get back to the judgment thing, but just hang with me, right? So both things are going together. Then also too, we got to recognize and realize that not only are we dealing with that as far as the judgment stuff, right? Well, once again, you know, so we're going to talk about this. Somebody said, if we aren't perfect, how do we judge? Just stay with me, because once again, the judgment is on a standard. The standard is something that you go up to. You know, a flag is just a standard. And when you pledge allegiance to the flag, you pledge allegiance to its standard. Right? That's what you did. When you pledge allegiance to the flag, you pledge allegiance to a standard. So number one, we have an issue where a lot of us are not even paying attention to the standard, right? Or even paying attention to society, excuse me. Then if I'm an individual, I try to say that I'm separate of society. Another thing that happens is not only will I not help society, but then I also begin to say, well, I'm separate from everybody else, but society might include my own people, right? Then another thing that might happen if I separate myself from society is that now I have to begin to make up ideals, not ideas, IDEAS, but ideals with an L on it. An ideal is when I make anything up to support my narrative. How you doing, Sister Shima? You said everyone else should have warnings with compassion, but not judgment. See, when people say judgment, once again, you know you have the right to judge. What we need to focus on is the standard. If somebody were to shoot somebody in cold blood, if somebody were to put somebody's knee on somebody's neck for close to 10 minutes, if somebody were to shoot somebody because they had a hoodie on, if somebody were to shoot somebody just because they didn't like what they were doing, if somebody were to go to a store in Buffalo and shoot people because they said that there's too many replacers on the earth, if somebody were to go to a school down in Texas and shoot a bunch of babies, and then if somebody were to put, if a police officer were to put a mother who was trying to get to her children in handcuffs, right, because she wants to go see her children, do we not believe that there should be some kind of judgment for that? If somebody were taken to court for those things, if somebody were put in prison for those things, will we say that that's not cool because you shouldn't be able to judge? Hey, Shabbat Shalom to everybody. How you doing, Jared? Right? Okay. So we comprehend judgment is okay. What we have an issue with is the standard. The question is not, can we judge? Now, watch this. People will say, well, it says judge not. It says judge not. What is the context? What is the context? See, because I promise you, go and do some research in the Bible, right? Just type in, to those who are putting up scriptures about judge not, this, that, or whatever. Type in the word judge, type in the word scripture, type in the word Bible, see what pops up. You will see plenty of scriptures that tell you how you can judge somebody. It is not that you cannot judge, but you must comprehend the standard. So peep game. I never have a heaven or hell to put anybody in. I like that. Seeing is judging. That's true. Right. But I don't have a heaven or hell to put anybody in. I do not. Right. So I cannot judge your salvation. I cannot judge your heart. I never will. I cannot judge what you have free will to do. It is impossible. I will not do it. I will not attempt to do it. If Elohim would not even try to go against your free will, he will judge, but he would not go against your free will. How dare I even begin to try to go against your free will? Right? You said, or use Holy Spirit alone with concordance, so you have the right interpretation. I mean, I'm on, right? I'm on. But we should know our culture. See, this is something culturally. If there's a kingdom comes with a culture. So in our culture, there's only one wise Elohim, right? Through the sacrifice, Yahweh, through the sacrifice of Yashvai, through the ability of Ravak HaKodesh, what we call the Holy Spirit. Those three working together is one Achaba, which is the Hebrew word of love, which if you know the Hebrew characters, you got to have Father, Son, and Holy Spirit to even make the word love, to even make the word Elohim, to even make the word Yashvai, to even make the word Yahweh, et cetera, right? Even Ravak HaKodesh, et cetera, right? But there's a judgment system set up when it comes to your salvation. And only you and the Most High can deal with your salvation, and only you and the Most High can deal with your being saved, right? But we act like because of that, if you do something wrong, I cannot judge that as wrong. That's a separate category. You said kingdom is not culture. When we put them together like that, when we add our flesh in there, no, that's not true at all. Does the kingdom have a culture? What is a culture? What is a culture? That's not true at all. We got to be careful with that. If you're saying that I shouldn't say that the kingdom has to act like my tribe, then so be it, right? I render Caesar's things to the tribe or to the system or to Caesar, but I always give Elohim's things to Elohim, and he has a culture. Every kingdom comes with a culture, right? Now we have to once again find the standard of the culture. What is standard issue in the culture of Ladach Shamayim, of the kingdom of heaven? Now let's have a conversation about that. But let's not act like a kingdom doesn't come with a culture. Because culture leads to beliefs, and beliefs lead to emotions, right? People get emotional over this because of their beliefs, but culture leads to beliefs, and beliefs lead to emotions, and emotions lead to your feelings, and feelings lead to your mood, and leads to the effort and energy you put into something, and the effort and energy you put into something ultimately develops your habits, which, guess what, is a culture that you pass down to the next generation. Hey, how you doing, Sister Helen? Right?